Ross the boss, thanks to PointsBet, Ross. And St Kilda Carlton is the Friday night game tomorrow night. A lot at stake for both clubs, really. They were embarrassing last week, Carlton. St Kilda need to get back on the winners list to play finals. And I want to ask you about Jacob Wiedering. He's a ripper when he can get body contact on his opponents, like here with Tom Hawkins. And he's got Max King to deal with probably this week.
Look, he's the strongest one-on-one player. If there's no movement, if he gets you in a wrestle, he's so strong in the thighs and his core. If you can handle Tom Hawkins, he virtually doesn't get beaten. But what happened, it was against North Melbourne, Larky, you can just see here, the ability to push off and protect the ball or kill the ball. So that's his strength. Then what we saw was Larky, a young athlete, kicks to advantage but draw him to the ball. You can just see here, get behind him where he can't get body on. So come up at it, duck behind him, move around is going to be the key. So then we saw King come of age, really. The Eagles give you the opportunity to launch. He was on a young player. So he's got to take that against Wiedering. Yeah. So that's the real opportunity. But Wiedering, you're going to have to get some body on him.
Yeah, he'll try and take King's run and jump, won't he? So
100%.
He has to move around. Hey, Ross, everyone's had a say about Carlton's defence. Yeah. But I'm interested in what you're one of the great defensive coaches. What's your take on what Carlton
I haven't got the time to pull it apart, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, look, their system gets pulled apart too easily, but what you can see is North. So my concern is if Carlton, it doesn't matter Wiedering, you can put David Dench down there, to be honest, Silvani. They need to put some pressure on the ball carrier and give Wiedering an opportunity because King could kick 10 if it comes down like this. 8 out of your front half. They've got to look in the mirror. Don't worry about what the coach says. You've got to put some heat on the ball carrier.
Is it attitudinal and system? Where do you think?
Look, I've watched some footage. I saw, honestly, some of the stuff you pulled apart. I think they were in position and then made some really poor mechanical decisions, didn't protect the corridor, were cleared out of the corridor. I thought they were in good shape and then some really bad decisions. So has it been taught or they don't action? I can't answer that question, Matthew.
Rowan Marshall is back, Ross, and when he and Ryder play, more often than not, they win. And they're up against young De Conning and Jack Silvani is the second row.
Yeah, and this really plays into King's hand as well. So the ability to get first use, when they play together out of the last 7 games, they're five wins, 2 losses. So you can see here, they're going really well. Dunstan in there, Steele, Seb Ross, Brad Hill's hit form. Like, there's real alarm bells for the Carlton midfield. So, but Silvani, he's thrown to the Wolves here. De Koning, I think he's going to be a star, but he's coming up against the best combination almost in the AFL.
The Saints to win?
Well, based on the argument we've put forward, I don't think you can tip Carlton. But you know what? When expectations off Carlton, that's when they go right. I think that's their real issue. When expectations on them, they don't tend to deliver.
Ross, I think the game of the round with what's at stake is Essendon and the Sydney Swans. We thought Franklin wasn't going to be there. He's now going to be there. We'll talk about that very shortly. But the attack versus defence in recent times, Ross, it's very, very good for Sydney in both areas, but concerning for the Bombers.
Well, beyond very good. That's a premiership profile. 1 and 2, attack and defence.
In the last month.
Yeah, you can't get any better than that. If they can maintain that, they can win the flag. So Essendon, you can see it's flipped around a bit because they're a real attacking team, but the last month they've defended okay, but their scoring's disappeared. So, based on the numbers, they can't win the game because Sydney will score and they'll be able to defend their attack. So that's the real concern. But you can see Buddy, Essendon have been their bunny. So it's a big tribunal decision. He averages 4.3 goals the last 17 when he was at Hawthorn and Sydney. So guess what? He's kicked 4.3 when Sydney haven't had great ball movement. But Sydney flying and flowing, he could kick 10. He could kick a bag.
Well, I was down one end, Ross, and he did kick 10 against us one day when he was at Hawthorn. So I've seen it firsthand there. I want to talk about Merritt and Parrish. And you had Ryan Crowley playing for you. And this was round 1. So Merritt had 20 touches in the first half, was shut down by Liam Shields. Just gave him no time, no space. Amazingly, Hawthorn came back with a rush. Then Schoenberg for Adelaide 2 weeks ago, shut down Parrish. And then on the weekend, Lockie Ash shut down Parrish. What concerns me with Rutten, and I think it's something that his system doesn't, at this stage, he says, doesn't allow for tagging, yet his opposition player or his own players get shut down regularly.
I love the tagging because don't get beaten by what you know. Take out their strength. And I think if you handle Merritt and Parrish, they almost can't win the game in Hines. So, look, the system stands up. So he'll have more talent. But there's room for a combination defence. If we talk about soccer principles and team defence and all that, they play combinations. So they'll mark one superstar heavily and the rest will play team defence. I was a strong team defence coach and Crowley could still knock one over. So, look, I think you want to talk about Whitfield. He had 36.
He had 36 down one end, yet unfortunately the Bombers just got shut down with Hind, Merritt and Parrish. It's something that the Bombers could look at. And Ross, just give them any chance, the Bombers.
Yeah, of course they do. If they get the game going, we know when they're up and going, but they've been inconsistent. They're a young team. I really like what he's done, but there's some lessons for a young coach. Do I knock over Whitfield next time and we're sitting in the 8? But, I think Sydney in their form, you can't go against them. But I don't think there's any great teams around, bar one or two, So I think Sydney should get it done, but it wouldn't surprise me if Essendon bob up.
The last game we'll look at is Gold Coast and Melbourne, and I want to throw up something, Ross, that could revitalise Melbourne's front half and potentially get them back to being that premiership hope 4 or 5 weeks. And that's Christian Petrarca to play more time permanent forward. Be the Dustin Martin of the Melbourne Football Club, because I don't think they use him enough in this area. This was a game in the Alice where he kicked 4 and won the game against the Saints.
And it was a low-scoring game. I think they scored in the 50s to 46. So he's kicked 4 of them. Like, he's a special talent, powerful, incredibly hard matchup. So I'm not as concerned because they kicked straight last week, although their scoring profile has dropped off, even though their ball movement's good. So if they're getting opportunities not scoring, they need more talent there. And as this unfolds on the back of this, we've compared it to Dusty Martin's profile and split. So Dusty, if you have a look at it on the right, it's basically 50-50. Yeah. So he's 80-20. So I think if you look at the best team and he's got those capabilities, there's an opportunity there to reduce his midfield time and get him in the goal-scoring space a lot more, because you highlighted, I think it's a great point, he can elevate their attack to another level.
They just don't have, to me, Ed, the star and the match winner that can help them win this premiership. I think he's it.
Well, they got him.
Yeah, they've got him.
Let's deploy him where we need him.
I reckon lose something to gain something, and it's Petrarca forward more.